name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. When I wept and chastened my soul with fasting, I made it my reproach. Psalm 69, verse 10. As you all know today, we're in the middle of the Filseta fasting, also known as the St. Mary fasting. And today we'll be learning about the reason why we fasted, and we'll be going over a brief history about St. Mary. So, St. Mary was born from Gezahegne, and but before they gave birth to Virgin Mary, they didn't have a child for a very long time. And they were starting to get very old, so they started praying and asking God for a child. And they did good deeds like helping the poor and the needy, and they gave alms to them, and they fasted. And every day they just asked God for a child. So one day they finally got a child, and it was a baby girl, and they named her Mary. So then, after she was born, she was taken care of with her parents for 3 years. So after 3 years, she was taken to the temple so she could live there and serve, because Gezahegne vowed to God that if they ever got a child, they would take her to the temple, and the child would serve there. And that's what happened with Virgin Mary. So she ended up moving to the temple. She lived there for around 12 years. She served, and she lived there every day, given heavenly food by an angel. And so after 12 years, she was 15 years old. So at the age of 15, she ended up engaging to a relative of hers named Joseph, but the engagement was only for her protection, not for marriage. And one day, St. Gabriel came down from heaven, as it says in the book of Luke, chapter 1, starting from verse 26. St. Gabriel came down from heaven, and he greeted St. Mary, and he said, "Blessed are you among women." And he said she would give birth to a baby, and she would name him Jesus, and he would be the Son of God. And St. Gabriel also said that her cousin Elizabeth was also 6 months pregnant to a baby. So St. Mary hurried, and she conceived. And she went down and visited her cousin Elizabeth for 3 months. And when St. Mary was coming to Elizabeth's house, the baby inside her was jumping with joy. And the Holy Spirit had came upon Elizabeth, and she knew that St. Mary was blessed. So she said in a loud voice, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb." And St. Mary sang a song, and after that she stayed with Elizabeth for 3 months, and after that she left, and Elizabeth gave birth to John the Baptist, the one who baptized Jesus later on. And after that, Jesus was also born 6 months later. And he was born in a manger in Bethlehem, and later he grew up and he became a teacher, and he preached across Israel, and he taught us the way of how to live in life. And he ended up getting crucified, and he rose up to heaven. And St. Mary also died at the age of 64, and the disciples were taking her body in order to bury her body. They put the body in the coffin. But the Jews interfered, and they said, "No, we want to take her body and burn it," because they didn't want her spirit to rise up to heaven just like Jesus resurrected to heaven. And they didn't believe in that. So when this interference happened, angels came down from heaven, and they took the body before the Jews had a chance. So the disciples noticed this, and they were concerned, because they said, "We want to bury her body." So they fasted for 2 weeks, they fasted for 2 weeks, and on the 14th day of their fasting, they got St. Mary's body back from Jesus, and they buried her body on that day. So 14th, 15th, and 16th. So that's 3 days. So on the 16th day of their fasting, St. Mary rose up to heaven. So at this time, Thomas was on a cloud, and he came down to land because God gave them the ability. God gave the disciples the ability to ride clouds to get to places so they could preach and teach across different cities. And which means Thomas was not with the disciples at the time that they buried St. Mary's body. So he was coming down, and St. Mary was ascending to heaven, and Thomas started getting angry because he thought that he was the only one that hadn't seen her ascension yet out of the disciples. So he started getting angry, but St. Mary said that he was the only one that had seen her ascension to heaven. So St. Mary gave Thomas a piece of linen cloth so that it could prove that he had seen her ascension. So after this, Thomas quickly came home to the disciples, and he said, St. Mary had rose to heaven, and she gave me this piece of linen cloth to show that, to prove that I had seen her ascension. So he showed it to them, and they were amazed. So they ran to her coffin to see if her body was there, and it wasn't there. So they believed. But 1 year after her ascension, they started getting concerned because they said, well, we want to see her ascension to heaven. Only Thomas saw it out of all the disciples. So they fasted another 2 weeks, again, in order to see her ascension. And after their 2 weeks of fasting, Jesus showed her ascension to the disciples. So, in conclusion, the reason we do this fasting is we want to commemorate the time that the disciples gave to God and the fasting that they did in order to get St. Mary's body back to bury her, and also to see her ascension to heaven. And by participating in this fasting, we can all get the blessing of St. Mary. When I wept and chastened my soul with fasting, that became my reapproach. Psalm 69, verse 10. All the glory be to God, amen.